Good morning, everyone. Very stupid o'clock. It is 3:31 a.m. It's stupid o'clock in the morning, and this is another episode Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels, and we are going back to that horrible world known as the JRC. But before we get going this morning, a few of the usual disclaimers. First off, you are going to see the link to this 1979 investigative report into the BRI, which later became the JRC, right there in the description box, alongside the other pertinent links to the Stop the Shocks campaign, including Autistic Hoya's massive archive on the subject, where we get the bulk of the material on JRC for this channel. We also have the templates, folks. Sign your name, click on your senator. Let's end adversive punishments, improper restraints, and seclusion in school, shall we? Also, we have the ever-present and self-explanatory Change.org Shut the Judge Rotenberg Center Down petition. Now, just a little word out there to all those new student researchers that are coming into the field. Just a little tidbit. Wanted to rant a little bit this morning. For the love of God, can we please stop with the nonsense? We are tired in the autistic community. We are tired, folks, of having to constantly have to justify our very existence. We are tired of having to explain that we don't want to be eradicated. We don't want to be messed with. We just want to be able to get on with our lives. Is it so goddamn hard to provide reasonable accommodations? Is it? Because the most disabling part about my disability is the lack of reasonable accommodations and lack of empathy from my neurotypical peers. You all like to sit there and claim that we're the ones with the deficit, we're the ones with the problem, that we need to be cured, that we have no empathy, no this, no that, no theory of mind, blah, 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 ad nauseum, without even realizing the complete lack of respect, the complete lack of empathy, and how completely tone deaf you all are. You really don't. And by the way, sitting there and claiming that we must not really be autistic then because we can talk and run a social media account isn't the hot take you all think it is. It has been over 20 years since the DSM-4 came out and the concept of a spectrum was introduced. You have over 20 years to get used to that idea. You've had over 20 years to get over this concept that there is functioning levels. You've got over 20 years to realize that functionality fluctuates. Are there major differences between the verbal and nonverbal? Sure. But stop thinking you are our goddamn voice. Okay. And for the love of God, quit trying to eradicate us. We don't want a cure. We don't need a cure. We sure as hell never asked for a cure. Back off. Alright. Now I'm good. Deficit my ass. Alright. We're going to go where we left off yesterday, which is considerations and opinions. But before we do, two trigger warnings. First of all, folks, again, this report's from 1979 as some of the most bigoted, outdated, and ableist language I have seen, again, this side of 1995. So, it is not me, it is the report that I'm reading straight from, okay? Also, when we talk about the JRC, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and sometimes catch surveillance footage of people with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you have young children present, please use your headphones, all right? Okay, now it is 3:37 a.m. in the morning. So folks, if I stumble over my words, my apologies in advance, all right? All right. So, considerations and opinions. I know what they can do with their opinion. Over the course of the 3-day visitation, the January team found BRI to be a professionally conceived, well-documented, and rigidly implemented behavior modification program. Oh, for fuck's sake. Really? Really? Oh, they're wonderful! Fuck you. Anyone who thinks that treatment like this is okay, fuck you. Its effect on students was the singular most depressing experience that team members have had in numerous visitations to human service programs. Oh, thank God. Somebody has a brain. Rather than being a program of neglect which harms children by not assisting them in growth, the BRI program utilizes a current professional ideology to deny children the opportunity to grow, to deny them any choices, to deny them developmental experiences in decision making, to deny them normal experiences in leisure time pursuits, to deny them any opportunities for fun, to deny them opportunities to demonstrate anything other than a few pre-selected responses. What have I told you, folks? They want fearful robots. Brainwashing comes to mind. Superficially, and on a brief tour of the school, the program is very impressive. Children who are obviously handicapped are engaged in activities and are seldom exhibiting inappropriate behaviors or mannerisms. On longer term observation, however, it becomes evident that the children are controlled, rather in control of their behaviors. Oh, for God's sake, can we get more ableist? Because, Tiffany, you're not normal. Because you don't act normal, well, we got to beat being like the rest of us into you. Fuck off. I got your normal. Sorry, I'm in a mood, folks. The activities which they are provided for the vast majority of their day, 365 days each year, are meaningless. Children remain seated in the same seat at the same table from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m., with the exception of trips to the bathroom, occasional individual work with an instructor, and or in some classrooms short periods of calisthenics. These same children remain seated at similar tables in their residences from 5:30 until 9 each night. During the times they are sitting, the children are to have their feet together on the floor, their hands folded on the table, unless they are engaged in a background task or other instruction. One of the children required to sit for these extended periods is a young man who has participated in cross-country skiing under the supervision of his family and has ridden a multi-speed bicycle in 25-mile races. His exercise at BRI is apparently limited to a classroom exercycle and sometimes calisthenics, although his participation in either of these activities was not observed in a 3-day period. The background tasks, which comprises most of the day's work, are manipulative preschool activities, stacking rings, sorting boxes, inlaid puzzles, tinker toys. Why the fuck am I not surprised? Told you they like to infantilize us. This is ABA in a nutshell, folks, and people wonder why I think it's useless. The child puts a task together, takes it apart, puts it together again. Excuse me. The same toy, an endless repetition. The psychologists on this team labeled this activity organized preservation. Preservation is an inappropriate behavior often associated with autism and is manifest by continued and meaningless repetition of an act. Oh, for fuck's sake. You all think it's meaningless. You all think it's meaningless. To us autistics, there is a reason why we would repeat a task. But, we can't be bothered to ask autistics why they are repeating a certain motion. And we don't want to know why, you all melt down when you're not allowed to do that repetitive motion. It's called self-regulation, folks. It's what keeps us calm in stressful situations. It helps us be able to endure sensory issues. It helps us endure the innate, stupid, idiotic chatter that goes on amongst neurotypicals as they say meaningless words that they don't mean at each other. And we have to sit there and endure this, and you want us to sit there and pretend to be more normal and engage in small chat in which we have no interest in. And you want us to stop doing the very thing that is keeping us for either bolting or really laying into people. Just saying. Students must perform these monotonous tasks to earn any food, which is ridiculous. It is ridiculous that you are making children not just earn their dinner, but earn every bite. That's insane. And they wonder why, well, the kids' behaviors increase. That's an excuse to, shock them. No, Karen. No. Kids act up more when they are not being properly fed. God. Nor can they concentrate well when they're not being properly fed. When children transgress from this structure or demonstrate even minor inappropriate behaviors, the punishment is swift and harsh. A squirt of water in the face, a pinch, a squeeze, a slap, a cold shower. Although now it's shocking you to death. For example, among 33 punishments, if blank blank has her feet apart or stops working, she may be spanked on the buttocks. Yeah, God forbid we stop work for 5 fucking seconds. If she does a task wrong, she may be sprayed in the face. If she gets out of her seat, she may be pinched on the foot. If blank makes noises, she may receive a muscle squeeze to the shoulder. If she makes mouth movements, she may be spanked on the buttocks. If blank drools or brings his hand to his head or refuses to comply, he may be squirted in the face. Oh, God fucking forbid we refuse to comply. I hate that word. Comply, Tiffany. I got your comply. If blank looks away, makes noises, or engages in hand play, he may receive a rolling pinch on his buttocks. For God's sake, the hell. In a psychology laboratory, when an animal is subjected to continuous rewards or punishments for its behavior, the animal becomes immobilized when he does not know whether an act will be rewarded or punished. He freezes. Such an occurrence was observed with one New York student. The child was assigned to the task of building with bristle blocks. As he worked, some blocks fell on the floor. He stopped. He looked at the blocks. He appeared to want to pick the blocks up. He knew that he was supposed to be working, but he also knew he could not leave his seat without being punished. So he said. Eventually, a treatment worker told him to pick up the blocks and to get back to work. He quickly complied. Fucking bastards. Despite the severity of the adversive treatment, the staff at BRI acknowledged that if adversives are terminated, the inappropriate behaviors will reappear. So, in the name of God, what makes you think they're effective is not the concept to get rid of the behaviors, quote unquote. That means your treatment doesn't work. The children then have learned little. Thank you. They have not been given sufficient tasks to aid in their skill development. Instead, they engage in meaningless background tasks. Nor have they learned not to perform inappropriate behaviors and to substitute more acceptable alternatives. Rather, while at BRI, staff is at hand to make out the adversives, the children are controlled by the threat of punishment. When that threat is removed, they revert to their original behaviors. They have spent their educational years in a program that does not provide developmental education and does not teach them to control their own behavior. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start getting into more tomorrow. So this is 1979, folks, when this report came out. And even back then, as ableist and backwards as everything was at that time, even they could come to the conclusion that adversives do not work. Do not work. I've said it before, because when that threat of punishment is removed, those behaviors return with a vengeance. And why do they do so? It's called burnout, folks. Autism burnout, where an individual is so overwhelmed that they will go backwards in development. I have experienced burnout. That has happened to me, where I had to relearn skills that I knew my entire life how to do, and I had to relearn them. That's what autism burnout is, folks. And you want to talk about autistic traits coming out to haunt you with a vengeance? Yeah, just saying. So it does not surprise nor shock me at all that their quote unquote behaviors came back in force as soon as the threat of punishment is removed from them. This tells me one inexplicable, unescapable fact that adversive punishments do not work. And a lot of the things, the behaviors these kids are punished for, are not harming anyone. When they talk about hand play, folks, that's called stimming. That's like I've showed you with my ponytail holders. I always have my hands that to self-regulate. I will play with them. It's a way of masking hand play behavior without making neurotypicals uncomfortable that I forced on myself as a child because of how people like me are viewed. This is what people in ABA and at the JRC feel needs to be punished, that they feel is inappropriate. Actions that harm no one. Non-compliance, when you refuse to do a completely meaningless task. If you stand up, shock. If you breathe wrong, shock. It's ridiculous. But on that note, folks, I'm going to go ahead and close out this morning. We don't get very many views on this channel, especially on this subject. The few that we do get do tend to get removed from time to time. So, folks, please don't forget to hit that like button. Hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time this morning. And as always, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. Bye-bye.